With everything that happened yesterday between Dustin Poirier and Benoit Saint Denis, the fight being off, the fight being on, we also had another thing that happened yesterday on social media, which I think was kind of interesting. So if you guys remember, Guilherme Cruz from MMA Fighting had this tweet out yesterday, which caused a lot of controversy. Even Dana White going after him. Cruz saying Vicente Luque versus Sean Brady. Now Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint Denis. 2 days in a row where fights announced by Dana White are now off because, well, they were never really a done deal. And then Cruz shows this interview clip with Benoit Saint Denis' coach, who says that, we'll just read it here. He says, Benoit Saint Denis' coach, Daniel Warren, I hope I'm saying that right, told me 2 weeks ago that they had no idea about the fight before it was announced by Dana. They loved it, sure, but they were surprised by the announcement. Benoit was sleeping when the news broke. His wife woke him up saying, hey, you're fighting. Then, this is a familiar thing. I've seen this before too. Of course, Luque's manager didn't like this, and he says, this is why I cut you off 3 years ago. You are a cancer and a liar. Vicente was a done deal, you idiot. There's a reason I cut, and then he follows this up again with another tweet, which pretty much says the same thing here. Now, these two things could both be true at once. I have no doubt that what this coach said was probably true, but Dana White obviously showing the text messages yesterday between Benoit Saint Denis and Dana White that like Benoit Saint Denis was in the loop with what was going on. So maybe the coach got something wrong. I don't know, but I don't blame Guilherme for thinking this was a possibility that the fight wasn't signed because the coach actually told him this. But here's the key thing I want to talk about in today's video. For whatever reason, well, I know why, but we'll talk about it here. In a now deleted tweet, Vicente Luque's manager posting, this is a signed bout agreement for Luque versus Sean Brady. It was signed on January 10th, shortly after Sean Brady got injured. It's normal, injuries happen every day, but the media needs to stop releasing information without fact checking. This is a lie. So you think, okay, he's got full proof. Well, a couple of things that are wrong with this. First and foremost, the most important thing in this now deleted tweet here is, do you think Vicente Luque wrote all this? Does this look like the hand? I mean, I don't know what his penmanship is like. Luque was born in the States, grew up in Brazil, then obviously moved back recently training at Killcliff. But do you think his writing is this bad? Even if it's a digital thing, I can't imagine his writing looking this bad. This looks like it was kind of made up, if I'm being honest. The other thing that he did on here was he had his tax number. I actually marked it out here, but like, not a very good manager going out there and putting your tax information out there. And the last thing is there's no signature here from Sean Brady, right? Usually it would have, something that says, the fight was signed by both parties. We don't see that. Look, I have a feeling this fight was signed. And I think actually Luque's manager is right that the bout agreement was probably signed. And then Brady maybe did get injured or maybe it was verbally agreed. I don't know. I have a feeling that the fight was sort of in the works or whatever. And then an injury did happen and maybe Brady felt like he couldn't make it in time or whatever. I don't know the full story there, but it's just the fact that he's trying to put this out here and trying to convince people that this is like a legit contract. Like this looks like a kid wrote it. So yeah, look, this is not a good look. And another thing that I've kind of talked about on my live streams and other things is that why is he so adamant about telling the media that they're wrong about this? Isn't this up to the UFC? Technically, Guilherme Cruz here, he's talking about the UFC here and they're, the way that they go about announcing fights before they're signed and all that. And that's sort of what happened yesterday with Benoit Saint Denis and Dustin Poirier is they'll announce things and just hope that it all works out, or maybe they'll sort of strong arm the fighter and make it happen. That's basically what the theme of this tweet here is now. And again, with what the information that Cruz got, I don't think he's wrong here. The proper way to handle this would have been, behind the scenes, texting Guilherme and saying, hey, look, man, it was a done deal. It's all good. Can you retract your tweet or whatever? But they turned it into this big like Twitter war or wherever. But the point I was trying to make actually earlier, and I'm going to emphasize this a little bit more, like it almost seems like the manager is kind of favoring and trying to, get favor with the UFC, to put it lightly, right? And if you're a manager that's doing that, if you're really trying to, suck up to the UFC essentially, which is what this looks like, that's not a good look if you're a fighter. I mean, you're essentially siding with the promotion. Like, why does he care so much if a journalist comes out here and says a bout agreement was never signed? That's on the UFC's end. That's not necessarily on the manager's end. So that's where I think, things get a bit interesting. Why is he so upset about this? You know what I mean? Like, I realize his fighter's involved in all this, but this is between the UFC and Guilherme Cruz, and Dana White already went after him as well, too. So like, it's almost as if like they're just trying to make Guilherme look like a bad guy. And like, I've known Guilherme, I don't know him personally, but he's been with MMA fighting for a while. He's a pretty good journalist. Again, with the facts that he was given, I think it's very fair to come to this conclusion that the fight was never signed here. But the thing that I just find so hilarious is that this contract comes out and there's people on social media who think this is legit. I don't think it is. I think this looks like a fake contract. Like the contract itself is not fake, but the handwriting and all that, like, who are you fooling here? Like, honestly, like, and I think he knows that too, with the fact that the tweet was deleted. It could also be because his tax ID was out there too. You don't want that, as several people pointed that out. But yeah, I just like, I don't like, are people really that gullible when they see something like this and they think, oh yeah, that's legit, I'm going to take their side? Because look, we know the truth here. There's a lot of people out there who don't like the media. I understand that. And the media certainly has their fair share of mistakes and things that happen. And I get people criticizing them for that. But I think this whole situation is not something that people should be, harping on too much. And again, if you look at the information that Cruz had here from Benoit Saint Denis' coach, it's very fair to come to this conclusion, right? That this didn't happen. I also, again, if you guys saw my interview with Dominic Reyes, another situation where, the fight with Carlos Ulberg on March 30th was not signed, according to Reyes. So this is just how the UFC does business. But to act like this is something that never happens is just kind of funny to me, I guess. Like, are people really that gullible? And they just, and obviously there's going to be fans as well that no matter what the UFC does, they're going to side with them because they don't like the media. They, they're pro UFC no matter what. They love to crap on fighters, all that different stuff. I understand there's that sector of the fan base as well, but yeah, I just think this whole thing is, it's kind of hilarious the way that it's all played out. And, we still don't know what's going on with Luque and Brady. Are they going to reschedule the fight? Is Luque going to get a new opponent? I would tend to think they're going to probably reschedule it because that's actually a fight that makes a lot of sense here. But again, I don't think the journalist is necessarily in the fault here. I mean, yeah, if there was like a concrete, proof that, said that the bout agreement was signed, then obviously come out and say, okay, my bad. The information I was given said this. But again, in a court of law or anywhere else, anyone buying this, that this is a legit signature, legit contract? I mean, again, this does not look like writing by someone that, yeah, it looks fake. I'm just going to say it. And I want to know what you guys think in the comments as well. Do you think this is fake writing here from the manager to try and win favor with the UFC? That's what I should have said. That actually, kind of lines up the most. It's a manager trying to win favor with the UFC. But again, it's not like the journalist is accusing the manager of losing credibility. He's talking about the UFC, and last time I checked, they're the ones that make the fights at the end of the day. The management helps with the fights, but at the end of the day, it is the UFC who's putting these fights together. And, again, we've seen countless examples of where fights are maybe verbally agreed, but the contract isn't hammered out. There's all types of things that happen. These are things that we have to look at, that it's becoming a continuing theme. And I have no doubt it's going to continue to be that way, because here's the problem. They have the TV deal with ESPN. They have pay-per-views, they have locations, they have stuff they have to book in advance. They have to get moving as quickly as possible. And it's basically on the UFC's terms, right? Like yesterday, Poirier obviously got what he wanted with Benoit Saint Denis, but in most cases, the UFC is able to strong arm the fighters a bit and do kind of what they want, because the fighters don't have a union, they don't have any power, and that's a whole topic for another day as well. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Did you guys catch all this yesterday, by the way? Again, I see some of the replies with people going after the media because of this contract, but to me it looks fake. Not the contract itself, but the signatures and all that certainly look fake. Let me know what you think in the comments. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, @LynchOnSports. I'm James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.